The kingdom of my divine will in the midst of creatures. Book of Heaven, Volume 35, Part 6. November 7th, 1937. How all the truths written about the divine will shall form the day for those who will live in it. The Queen of Heaven languishes with love, for she wants to endow her children. I felt my poor mind as though crowded by the so many truths that my sweet Jesus made me write about the divine will. And I was thinking to myself, who knows when these truths on the divine Fiat will come to light, and what good they will produce? And my beloved Jesus, surprising me with his little visit, all goodness and tenderness, told me, "My daughter, I too feel the need of love to let you hear the order that these truths will have, and the good they will produce. These truths on my divine will shall form the day of my Fiat in the midst of creatures. In so far as they come to know them, so will this day keep forming. Hence, as they begin to know the first truths I have manifested to you, provided that they have good will and the disposition to make of them their own life, a most splendid dawn will arise. But these truths will also have the virtue of disposing the creatures, and of giving light to many blind who do not know my will, nor love it. Then, once the dawn is risen, they shall feel invested by a celestial peace, strengthened more in good, and they themselves will yearn to know more truths, which will form the beginning of the day of my divine will. This beginning of the day will increase the light and the love. All things will turn into good for them. Passions will lose the power to make them fall into sin. It can be said that this is the first order of the divine good that they will feel. This order will facilitate their actions for them. They will feel a strength with which they can do anything, because the primary virtue that my will casts into the soul is precisely this: to transmute her nature into good. Hence, feeling the great good of the beginning of the day of my will, they will long for the day to advance. They will want to know more truths, which will form the full daylight. In this full daylight they will feel vividly the life of my will within themselves, its joy and happiness, its operative and creative virtue within them. They will feel the possession of my very life, for I am the bearer of my divine will. The full daylight will kindle in them so much yearning to know more truths, which, once known, will form the full midday. In it, the creature will no longer feel alone. Between her and my will, there will be no more separation. Whatever my will does, she will do as well, operating together. Everything will be hers by right. Heaven, earth, and God himself. See then how noble, divine, and precious will be the scope of these truths, which I made you write on my divine will, to form its day. And for some, they will form the dawn; for others, the beginning of the day; for some others, the full daylight; and lastly, the full midday. These truths, according to one's knowledge of them, shall form the different categories of the souls who will live in my will. One more knowledge, or one less, will make them ascend or remain in the different categories. Knowledge will be the hand to make them go up to superior categories. It will be the very life of the fullness of my will in them. Therefore, I can say that with these truths I have formed the day for whoever wants to live in my divine will, a day of heaven, greater than creation itself, not made of sun or stars, because each truth has the virtue of creating our life in the creature. And oh, how this surpasses the whole of creation! Hence, our love has surpassed everything in manifesting so many truths on my divine will. Our glory on the part of creatures shall be full, because they will have our life in their power to glorify us and love us. As for the emerging of these truths, just as I have had the power and the love to assist the one to whom I had to manifest them, in the same way I will have power and love to invest the creatures and transform them into these very truths, in such a way that, feeling their life within them, they will feel a great need to bring to light what they feel within themselves. Therefore, do not be concerned. I, who can do it all, will do everything, and will take care of everything. After this, I was following the acts of the divine will, in which there were all the works, the love, the prayers, the sorrows, the palpitating life, the breaths, and everything that the Queen of Heaven has done, as if she was just doing them. And I embraced them, I kissed them, I adored them, and I offered them, in order to obtain the kingdom of the divine will upon earth. And my dear Jesus, resuming his speech, added, "My blessed daughter, one who lives in my will, can enter everywhere, and can give me everything. My celestial mother as if she were her own, as well as the way in which she loved me, and everything she did. This creature can reach the point of even duplicating my life and giving it to me in order to love me as if it were her own. Now, you must know that just as I formed the day of my divine will for the creatures, by manifesting to you so many truths about it, in the same way, with her love, with her sorrows, with her prayers and acts that she did, which, all being done in my divine will, filled heaven and earth, the sovereign Queen of Heaven formed the sufficient endowment for those who must live in it. With what longing she longs and yearns to be able to endow her children. She sees herself immersed in so many riches of grace, of love, of sanctity, but she does not find her children in order to endow them, because they do not live in that same will in which she lived. Look, my daughter, how in everything she did and suffered, there is written, "For my children." Therefore, if she loves, she calls her children to receive the endowment of her love, in order to make us recognize them as her children and as our children, and make us love them as we love her. If she prays, she wants to give the endowment of her prayer. In some, she wants to endow them with her sanctity, with her pains, and with the very life of her son. How touching it is to hear her and look at her as she keeps her children within her maternal heart, as though inside a sacrarium. And in all her acts and breaths, she calls her children and says to our Supreme Being, "All that I am and possess is all for my children. Oh, please listen to me. I feel my heart bursting with love. Have pity on a mother who loves and wants to endow her children, to make them happy. My happiness is not full. I feel it halved, because I do not have my children enjoying it together with me. Therefore, hurry, let the divine will be known, so that they may also know the yearning of their mother, and how I want to endow them and make them happy and holy." Do you think that we remain indifferent before this touching scene, as she languishes with love so much that with her maternal tenderness and with the rights of mother she prays us and beseeches us? Ah, no! How many times, because of these, her cares, I manifest more surprising truths on my Fiat, to give her free rein, to pour out onto her children a more extensive endowment, since it will be given to them according to their knowledge. Therefore, you too enter my divine will, and together with this celestial mother, pray and supplicate that our will be known and reign in all creatures. Fiat. November 12th, 1937. One act done in the divine will loves God for everyone, and gives him that which the creature owes him. One who lives in the divine Fiat gives God the occasion to repeat his works in act. God wants to operate one-on-one with the creature. The I love you, divine jewel. The divine volition continues to inundate me with its light, which unleashes a power so great as to form such prodigies in the acts of the creature that one remains as though enraptured. One can see the creative power which encloses everything and does everything in the little human act. O power and love of the divine will, how insuperable you are! Your power conquers everything. Your love seems incredible. And my lovable Jesus, who wants the unheard of prodigies which his divine fiat can do in the creature to be comprehended, visiting my little soul, told me, "Daughter of my will, the flames of my love are such that I feel suffocated. And in order to give vent a little bit to my love that makes me burn and languish, I return to say what my will can do in the creature. In order for my will to reign, one must know who it is, the extent of its love, what its power is, and what it can do. Now, listen to me. As the creature gives it the freedom to operate, it calls its immensity and power. It encloses everything and everyone in that act, and our divinity most holy receives in that act the love of each creature. We hear in that act the voices and the heartbeats of all hearts, saying to us, "We love you, we love you." This act gives us the adoration of each one, and everything that they owe to their Creator. Our will animates everything, and we feel in that act that even the sun, the heavens, the stars, and all creation are saying to us, "We love you, we adore you, we glorify you." So, we receive everything from our will operating in the creature, and for each of them our love is requited, and our glory completed. Our will can give us anything, although it makes use of the act of the creature. And taken by love toward the one who lets it operate in her act, it says, "I give you everything, my daughter. I place you before our Supreme Majesty as the one who has loved us for all, and for each one has given us the glory and the adoration of all, and has made us loved even by the sun, by the heavens." The whole creation was harmonizing, and all created things were saying among themselves, "Love, love to our Creator." Therefore, to you I give the merit of everything. All is yours. My will cannot operate, nor does it want to, unless it encloses everything and does everything. I remained surprised, and I said to myself, "Is it possible? Is all this really possible?" And my dear Jesus added, "My daughter, do not be surprised. One single act of my will is greater than heaven and earth. Its immensity has no boundaries. Its power has no limit. It holds everything and everyone in the palm of its hand. Therefore, in its operating, it has an act of infinite love, which can say, 'Love for all.' and after it has loved for all, oh, how much of it is left! Besides, our love is perfect. First, we love ourselves. We secure our interests, our glory, our love. And then we descend in the creatures, loving in them with our same love, glorifying ourselves with our own works. Who does not think of himself first? Therefore, whether our will operates within us or in the creatures, first it must give us, by right, what is due to us, and befits us, on behalf of all and of each one. And then the creatures will receive, according to their dispositions. Afterwards, I continued to be inundated by the waves of the divine volition, but waves of light, packed with truths and love, wanting to make known its prodigies, its power, and what it wants to give to the creature. So I was following its acts that it did in creation, to make them mine, and to be able to say, what belongs to Jesus is mine too. And my always lovable Jesus, coming back, resumed his speech and told me, "Daughter of my will, as the creature goes back into our works, to long for them, love them, and make them her own, our love makes us run toward her, to admit her to our company, and renew our works for her alone, as if we were in act of repeating them just for her. Hence we centralize all our love in her, as well as our power, our joys, and the stratagems and follies of love that we had in creating and delivering the whole creation. And in our emphasis of love, we look at her, and we find her heavens, with the love that we felt in stretching out their azure vault. Then we look at her again, and we find the multiplicity of the stars, as she gives her voice to each of them, to make them say to us, I love you, I love you, I love you. These voices of I love yous form the most beautiful of the celestial melodies, and their harmony, the sweet sound that they form for us, is such that we feel inebriated. And in our inebriation we say to her, Daughter, how beautiful you are! You are the bearer of infinite joys for us. Not even when everything was created did we receive such melodies and joys, because a creature united to our will was missing, who would make our works say to us, I love you, I love you, I love you. At the sight of such a show of love, we renew the creation of the sun, of the wind, of the sea, of the air, and we centralize in her all our love and divine harmony that we had in creating all these elements. Oh, what joy for us, and the requital of love she gives us! As we look at her, we find her sun that burns for us with love, wind that blows and moans for love of us, and forming arcane voices of love, would want to surround us with its love, to tell us, "You have loved me, and I love you. Love you have given to me, love do I give to you." And with her sea, she forms for us mighty waves, to the extent of giving us air of love for each breath of creature. And we feel we are being wounded continuously, and fainting by her love. A soul who lives in our will is all for us. She keeps us constantly busy. She loves us always, but with our own love. And each time she does her acts in our fiat, we renew the works of creation. And in order to amuse ourselves, love her, and make her love us, we use every act that she does as material to renew our various created works. Even more, our love is not satisfied. It wants to add yet more, and it creates new prodigies of grace, to the point of creating our very life in the beloved creature. We like very much to operate one-on-one, as if we were doing everything for her alone. This makes more love, esteem, and appreciation arise toward us, who love her so much. Therefore, according to how she unites to us, if she unites in the works of creation, we renew our works of creation. If she unites to our works of redemption, we renew, and I repeat my birth in act. And looking at her, I find my birth in her, as well as the love by which I was born, while she loves me with that same love with which I was born upon earth. Do you think it is trivial for me to find my own love, which made me be born, cry, suffer, walk, operate? And together with her, one-on-one, I repeat my life down here, and my divine will makes her love me with the same love with which I loved when I was on earth, carrying out my redemptive life. Therefore, the living in my divine will is everything for the creature, and everything for us. Then I was following the acts of the divine volition in its works, and I thought to myself, what would be a greater glory for God, to follow the acts of creation or those of redemption? And Jesus, coming back, added, "My daughter, both of them are greatly pleasing to me, but there is a difference. In the works of creation, the creature finds our majesty and feast, while creating many things with our primary purpose, that everything was to serve our will reigning in her. And all created things were to serve as a deposit for her requital of love, of adoration, and of glory toward us. All created things speak of our love toward creatures, and the creature, through them, was supposed to love her Creator. You must know that each one of your I love yous, that you hide in the sun, in the heavens, and in the other created things, is a jewel for us. And we love them, we kiss them, we embrace them, and delight with them. We feel glorified and repaid for everything we have done. Do you think we remain indifferent to your many I love yous, with which you have invested the creation? Not at all. We look at them one by one, and as our jewels, they give us the joy that we had in creation. Therefore, you make our feast continue. And if these I love yous cannot be seen other than by us, it is because, our will being immense, also in creation, its light eclipses your I love yous, and keeps them hidden jealously within its bosom. It happens as to the sun, whose light and heat are greater and more intense than all the preciousness of the effects contained within it. These cannot be seen, but it is certain that the sun possesses them. In fact, if its light touches the flower, it gives color, and portrays like a painter the varieties of beauties of the colors, so as to form the sweetest enchantment for the human generations. If it touches plants and fruits, it gives the multiplicity of the various sweetnesses and flavors. This shows how the sun is not only light and heat, but it hides other goods within its bosom of light. Such is the creature who lives in our will. As she loves and adores, so does our will form the beauty of its iris of love in her works, the variety of joys and sweetnesses of her good acts, which it jealously hides within its bosom. My will is the hiding place of the love and of everything that the creature does in it, forming the most beautiful ornament to our divine works, and the sweet enchantment of our pupils. And our pleasure is so great that we show this to the whole celestial court, to let them delight together with us. Therefore, this is the greatest glory she can give us, following our acts of creation, because she unites herself to our same purpose. She braids herself to our love. We feel her kissing our love, while we kiss hers, and make of them one single love. What joy, what happiness, to have the creature together with us, loving us and doing what we want to do. Now, in redemption, the purpose changes. It is guilty man that we go searching for. In creation, everything was feast. Our work smiled at us with joy, love, and glory, while in redemption, pains, bitternesses, tears, remedies, medicines, in order to heal man. And the creature, by entering our will, can invest my pains, bitternesses, and tears with her tender and compassionate I love yous, and hide in them the jewels of her I love yous. In this way, by kissing these jewels, I will not feel lonely, but comforted, sustained, and accompanied by one who lives in my will. In the jewels of her I love yous, I will also find one who dries my tears, who shares my pains with me, who defends me. Therefore, always in my will do I want you, so that, whether in feast or in pain, I will keep you always with me. Fiat. You have reached the end of the Book of Heaven, Volume 35, Part 6. Fiat.